Welcome to This Explainer. Imagine being 2,300 miles from the nearest continent, just a speck of volcanic rock lost in an endless dark blue sea. This is Rapa Nui, or as you probably know it, Easter Island. It's a place where time didn't just slow down, it completely stopped. Today, we're diving into Global 19's chilling investigation into the secrets of the island's massive stone guardians. You've definitely seen pictures of them, right? Those iconic, brooding faces staring out across the landscape. But the story of how they actually got there, and more importantly, the story of the people who just left them behind, well, it's way more complex and, honestly, a lot more unsettling than you might think. Let's get right into it. Part 1. The Edge of the World. The investigation sets the scene perfectly, asking us to imagine a tiny, isolated island in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, thousands of miles from civilization. And you really have to picture it. A lone explorer standing beneath a massive Milky Way sky with the wind howling around them. Grasping this sheer absolute isolation is absolutely crucial to understanding the mystery we're unpacking today. When the original inhabitants arrived, they were entirely on their own. There wasn't some backup trade route, no neighboring society to bail them out if things went south. They were stranded on the literal edge of the world, left completely to their own devices, their own ingenuity, and, eventually, their own demons. Which brings us to Part 2, the walking giants. Completely cut off from the rest of humanity, this society poured literally all of its energy, resources, and faith into creating something truly monumental, the Moai. We're talking about nearly 1,000 of these giant stone figures, 1,000 of them standing like silent sentinels guarding a ghost story. And here's a mind-blowing detail. They weren't just plunked down randomly. Research shows many of these statues were precisely aligned with the solstices and the stars. They weren't just staring at the sea, they were looking at the heavens. For a people stranded in the pitch-black vastness of the Pacific, these statues acted as a lithic calendar. In the darkness, the Moai were their only map. But let's just wrap our heads around the sheer scale here. 80. Some of these immense statues weigh over 80 tons. Just pause and think about that for a second. We are talking about massive blocks of dense volcanic rock, hand-carved, weighing as much as a space shuttle. And they didn't just carve them and leave them there. Oh no. They moved them miles across incredibly rough, uneven volcanic terrain, all the way from the inland quarries to the coastlines. Now, if you or I were tasked with moving an 80-ton monolith today, we'd obviously expect to use wheels, maybe large draft animals, or, heavy steel machinery. But the reality? The Rapa Nui people had absolutely none of that. No wheels, no pack animals, no modern steel. So for centuries, we all asked the wrong question. We kept asking how they moved them. But the answer was actually hiding in the local oral traditions the whole time, which casually claimed the statue simply walked. And it wasn't magic, guys. It was pure, brilliant engineering. Using heavy ropes, 3 teams of people would rock the massive Moai forward in a rhythmic side-to-side motion, using the momentum of their curved bases. They literally engineered 80 tons of rock to step forward, which is exactly how they earned the nickname the Walking Giants. But then, things take a dark turn. Part 3. Buried in Silence. So we've marveled at how they moved, right? But as these statues were moving into place, something began to go terribly, terribly wrong. The golden age of these walking giants just hit a wall. So the real mystery of Easter Island isn't actually how these statues moved. The question is, why were they suddenly abandoned? Because the hammers literally just dropped. The walking giants stopped dead in their tracks. Many were just left right there on the dirt paths leading to the ocean. If you go to the Rano Rakaku quarry today, you can still see half-finished statues attached to the bedrock. The work didn't slowly taper off. It stopped completely and abruptly, as if an alarm went off and everyone just walked away, never to return. And here is where the story gets deeply unsettling. It redefines everything we thought we knew. See, the whole world knows them as the Easter Island heads, but modern excavations and infrared ground scans have revealed a massive secret beneath the soil. They are not just heads. Down in the dirt are full, incredibly intricate bodies, covered in complex carvings and petroglyphs. These giants weren't meant to be decapitated. They were buried up to their necks in a deep silence, shielded intentionally and covered by centuries of erosion. Think about that for a second. Why spend thousands of grueling man-hours carving detailed torsos and hands that no one was ever meant to see? What exactly were they trying to protect? Or what were they trying to hide? Which leads us to our final chapter, Part 4, A Vanished Civilization. When a Global 19 investigation went to Easter Island to dig into the truth behind these buried bodies in abandoned quarries, they hit a chilling dead end that echoes right across history. We are looking at a society that went into total freefall. The very same people who possessed the absolute genius to carve and walk 80-ton monoliths across an island using nothing but ropes simply vanished into thin air. They just left our walking giants abandoned in the dirt. But how does an entire civilization just evaporate like that? Well, researchers point to a few harrowing theories. Was it ecological suicide? Did they chop down the very last tree just to roll the last statue? Was it brutal internal warfare sparked by dwindling food and resources? Or was it just the crushing weight of their own ambition, pouring every ounce of energy into stone gods while their own society starved? We have to end by asking that fundamental question. What really happened to the civilization that vanished into thin air? The Rapa Nui didn't just leave behind some fascinating statues. They left behind a blaring warning about the fragility of isolation and the hard limits of our resources. The truth is out there, carved in stone and buried deep in the red earth. And we really need to listen to what those silent buried giants are trying to tell us today. Because when you think about it, we are on our own isolated island, floating in the dark sea of space. The giants are still walking in our history books. We're just the ones standing still. Thanks for joining me for this explainer. And as always, keep questioning and keep exploring.